So, everyone, at this point, my mother had been in the hospital for 2 days. This was the third day of me coming up here. The first night, I did not stay the night because we had to go to the ER very early in the morning on January the 18th at about 9:30 so she can get admitted. And it took her until about 5:30 to get to a room and get settled in. So once she got to a room and got settled in, I ate dinner at the hospital that she was at. Believe it or not, the hospital that my mother stayed at while she was there has very good food. I know a lot of hospitals are not known for having good food, but the hospital my mom stayed at was very known for good food. First day of temporary dialysis is what the machine looked like in the hospital. This is life right now. Temporary dialysis. So there was some nights that I stayed at the hospital with my mom, and this was one of the nights, and I was getting ready to go to bed. So y'all, let me tell you, this was my mother's second temporary dialysis treatment in the hospital. And when you're in the hospital, a nurse has to come with the actual dialysis machine to not only hook it up and set it up for to get the patient ready to get on dialysis, but then they have to set it up for the patient. And what you all are watching right now is him doing exactly that. He was setting up the dialysis machine just to get my mother hooked on it. When I tell y'all this clip is only about 5 minutes and 30 seconds. But when I tell y'all it took really about 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes just for him to, between setting it up and then getting her started. This is how long it takes just to set it up. So what you guys are watching right now, ladies and gentlemen, what are watching right now is her, is the nurse setting it up. And I'm tell y'all, this is a process in itself. I watched it, and I'm gonna tell you like this: these nurses have to really know what they're doing when they are setting it up, because it's a lot to it. It's a process. It's a long process. The actual first day she did it, which was the day before this, fortunately enough, we were not in the room when he came in the to set up the first day. So by the time my mother got back in the room, he was ready to just hook her up. And that itself takes about 10 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, I'm this is not my first rodeo with seeing someone on dialysis. I know how it works as far as them being on the machine, but I really honestly didn't know the logistics to it and all what it takes until my mother just started being on it a few weeks ago. And let me tell you something, it is a lot to it, y'all. It's a lot. It's a lot to it. So I can understand why they want to make the patient as comfortable as possible, because they would need to be as comfortable as possible. And I can understand why it's important for the nurses and the nurses to be in the room, before the patient is, because they have to set it up. So I know that they have different types of dialysis that you can do now. You can do it at home. You can go in the facility. Um, I can tell you right now, guys, ladies and gentlemen, woo, I would not recommend doing it at home because this is a lot. I watched that man for 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 5 minutes and some 30 seconds. And just watching him from the little bit that he did was a lot. So, yeah, I would just recommend if you're going to do it in a facility instead of doing it at home. And if you're going to do it at home, I know they have ways. I know your caregiver can do it for you, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend if you are in a situation where you can actually afford to have a nurse come in and you have your own machine and have your own setup at home, then do that because, oh my goodness, I watched him and I can tell you it was a lot. And the second video from this was him taking it down, and that was a lot. Like that was a lot. Him just having to take everything down after my mother. He had to unhook her and then throw out everything and do everything. Um, sanitation is important, and just doing everything right, where everything is sanitized. And I had to wear a mask when he was hooking everything up, and when he was taking her off, just as a precaution, you know, for health and safety purposes, which is understandable. But yeah, the first video is him setting it up, and the second video is a little bit of him taking it down.
Did you?
And it's a lot. It's a lot. So, um, just wanted to give you guys just a little bit of what it goes through, and what this process is, and what you have to go through, and this is just the nurses. This was just she had to do this for 3 days, in the hospital, and she had to do it back to back Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Typical days is either Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays,
I
or
know, right, ma?
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. But because she was in the hospital and we had actually started the treatment until that Thursday, they had to do it back to back because of where her kidney was at this point. So they had to do back to back treatments, So basically, when she got out of the hospital the following Tuesday from this date, and this was January 26th, 2024, at about, like I said, 8:30 in the morning. When she finished probably, I think, about 12, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later, I'm not sure.
That thing
But
gets
yeah, this
funky.
is just the process. I just wanted to show you guys, what it, some of the things that she had to go through, and this is the process. And yeah, again, I've seen dialysis. My godfather, he was on dialysis. I've seen him on dialysis for some years. It's one thing to see someone get it, to see another family member get it. It's a whole different experience to seeing your mom or someone close get it and then be there through the whole process. I've been there with my mom through this whole process, and I'm gonna tell you guys this, you ladies and gentlemen, this has been a process. This has been a transition for us, but we believe in God and know that this is just going to be a temporary process. Um, so I'm just doing this, as in, just to encourage other people. You're not alone. Um, this kind of happened overnight for me, going from, you know, which I've always been there for my mom. Me being her caregiver is not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. But yeah, so we've had to adjust, and it's just a temporary adjustment. So we are believing in God. We know God is a healer, and He can do all. We can do all things through Christ, and He is a healer. So this is just some of what it took while she was at the hospital. So the first video, like I was saying, is her the nurse setting up and getting it ready and then putting her on the machine. um and then the second video is, him taking her off of the machine, and then um the set down. So it's a setup process, and then it's a takedown process. So the second part is just the takedown process of, getting rid of everything, and doing it right. And so yeah, this is just a little preview of what it was like while she was in the hospital getting dialysis.